welcome to my channel. Today we're making the plush bag. This bag is soft, stylish and customizable, perfect for anyone who loves a comfy, but this tutorial is very in-depth, so there's no need to be scared. Let's go over the basics of how we'll make it. Before we dive in, let's go over the materials you need to make the bag. So first, you're gonna need some plush or bulky yarn. Actually, you can use any kind of yarn, but this bag is supposed to be really soft, so I'm using this yarn. This is Alize Veruto, which actually you can see here calls from a 8 to 10 millimeter hook, but today I'll be using a 6 millimeter hook. This is also something that you'll need to work with. The yarn label might recommend a larger hook, but I prefer working with a smaller hook size than suggested, because using a smaller hook helps create tighter stitches, which gives the bag more structure and prevents it from stretching too much when you're carrying items. This is especially important for bags made with plush or bulk yarn. Next, we're gonna need some stitch markers. These are optional but super helpful for marking the beginning and end of your rows or even specific stitches. Then we are gonna need a darning needle. You need this for sewing the pieces together and weaving in any loose ends. And you're gonna need a good pair of scissors to cut your yarn. This is mine, but you can use any kind of scissor that cuts. And that's it for the materials, so let's start with the panels for our bag. The panels are super customizable, so you can chain as much as you want depending on the length or the width you want to achieve. I'll show you how to chain and how to get started, so it would be easier for you. We're going to start with a slip knot. Everyone has their own way of doing it. This is mine, and I think this is the easiest, or at least the easiest that I can remember. So hold your yarn like this and then pinch it down here, and then you put your finger inside the loop like this, turn it up so it crosses, put your thumb in the same hole, and then you grab the piece of the yarn that is below the other one, usually it's the top yarn, and you grab it, you just hold it together and you pull it through, and it should look like this. Let's do it one more time. So you hold your yarn like this, hold it, insert your finger, turn, insert your thumb, grab the top yarn, and you have your first loop. You can insert your hook in here and then just pull it tightly, and that's it. So now you can wrap your finger around your working yarn, whichever way you prefer. This is how I hold mine. And you're gonna hold the yarn tail, and we can start working. So first we're gonna chain the width of the panel. To chain, first you're gonna yarn over the yarn and pull through the hoop. If you're a beginner or you never worked with plush yarn, you can mark the first stitch, because plush yarn stitches are harder to see. And then you can repeat this process until you reach the desired length. So yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through. I want my bag to be around 25 centimeters, so I'll see how many chains that's gonna be. So I ended up chaining 25, and that is exactly 25 centimeters as well, but feel free to chain more or chain less. This is gonna be the width of the panel. So let me show you the beautiful sketch I made. So this is gonna be the front panel, and now we're starting here and we're gonna make our way up. So this one that we chained here is gonna be the bottom part of the bag, this is what we are customizing right now. So mine is 25 centimeters. And now we're gonna work the rows to build the height. So once you have your chain, we are ready to begin the first row. Starting in the second chain from the hook, we're gonna work a half double crochet. So we're gonna skip this first chain. I don't know if you can see it. These V shapes are chains. We're gonna skip this first one and we're gonna insert our hook in the second one. We're working half double crochets, so our stitches are taller. Usually people work single crochets because those stitches are tighter, but that also takes more time and probably more rows. And half double crochets are also pretty tight, so I think this is gonna be perfect for our bag. Okay, so to do a half double crochet, we're gonna yarn over. Now we have 2 loops on our hook. Then we're gonna skip the first chain and we're gonna insert our hook in the second one right here. And then we're gonna yarn over again, pull through the chain. Now we have 3 loops on our hook, and then we're gonna yarn over and pull through 1, 2 and 3. So we are pulling through all 3 loops. And this is a half double crochet because, as I said, it's pretty hard to see them. I'm gonna mark the first half double crochet of the row so it's easier to find it. I'm just gonna put a stitch marker in the stitch. A stitch is this V-shaped thing that you can see here. This is a stitch. So if you also chained 25 at the beginning, then because we skipped the first chain, we're gonna end up having 24 chains by the end of this row. Okay, so yarn over again, find the next chain, insert your hook, yarn over, pull through the yarn. We have 3 loops on our hook, and then yarn over and pull through all 3 loops. This is the second chain. Make sure that your tension is the same as you work, so it wouldn't get looser or tighter at some parts. So yarn over, insert in the next chain, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through all 3 loops. And we're gonna repeat this process a few more times. Okay, so I'm at my last 2 stitches. Yarn over, insert, yarn over, pull through, and then this is gonna be our last chain. So remove the stitch marker and you can yarn over, insert your hook where the stitch marker was, yarn over and pull through all 3 loops. So this is the last stitch of our row. I don't know, I hope you can see the kind of V shapes around here. So these are the stitches that we have. Okay, so when you reach the end of the row, you're going to chain 2 and turn our work, and we're gonna work backwards now. This is gonna be our second row, and we're gonna insert 1 half double crochet into every stitch, starting with the very first one, but don't confuse these 2 chains that we just did with stitches. So yarn over, skip these 2 chains that we just did, and insert your hook in the very first half double crochet. It might be hard to see, but you need to insert your hook under the V shapes in here. So you can find a space under every stitch where you can insert your hook. So yarn over, pull through, you have 3 loops on your hook, and then pull through all 3 loops. And we're gonna just continue this all the way back. But first you can mark the first stitch of the row again, so you will find it easier. And if you also chain 25 at the beginning, then you will also have to work 24 half double crochets there and backwards. So let's do our next round, row 2, and we just have to find the stitches and yarn over and pull through all 3 loops. Insert, yarn over, and this is gonna be our pattern. We're gonna work in one direction and when we reach the end we're gonna chain 2 and turn our work, and we're gonna work backwards. So this is my second row, and I might do around 8 to 10 rows more. I'll see how I like my height. But first we're gonna finish this row together. Some people actually mark every single stitch that they have, so they won't lose them. I personally don't recommend doing that, because then you will never really learn to recognize them and to see them. And if you're a beginner, it's better to start off strong and jump in the deep water and just learn now, because later you'll be too comfortable. Okay, we have our 2 last stitches, 1, and this is the last stitch, so remove the stitch marker and put 1 half double crochet in this stitch. Good. You can count your stitches again. So this is the first one, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Don't forget to count the last one as well. And I have 24 stitches still. Good. Okay, so we're gonna chain 2 again, and we're gonna turn our work and start working the other way around. So we're gonna put 1 half double crochet into every stitch that we have. Just be sure that you don't lose your stitches. If you see our stitches go here and not here, even though these also look like these, you can see the first one going from here. So just be sure that you notice that your work slightly turns. So yarn over and insert your hook right in the first stitch. And then you can yarn over, and don't forget to mark the beginning and the end of every single stitch. Oops. Of every single row, I'm sorry. Okay, so now you know the pattern. We're gonna work back and forth until we reach our desired height of the panel of our bag. So Now we're gonna build our bag, and until we reach the desired height, we're just gonna work the rows back and forth, back and forth. You can pause the video here until you finish, or you can also just replay the part where I show you how to work a row and turn and chain two and work backwards. Anyway, we're gonna see each other when you reach the desired height. I'm checking back. I just want to show you how you count your rows. Because we are working with plush yarn, it might be harder to see the rows as well. You can simply see the half double crochets, if you can recognize them. Like these are one, and then these are another row, another, and now another row. So you can kind of see how these bubbly things are in a row. And also, if you don't skip the first or last stitch, which some people might do, especially at the beginning, that's okay. If you don't skip them, you should have kind of a straight line. While working with plush yarn, the straight line might not be as visible because the plush is coming out or whatever, but it should be kind of noticeable that it's straight or that it's crooked and maybe it's decreasing or increasing. Okay, so let's keep going. I'm at row 9. I'm still not where I want to be, so I miscalculated myself a bit, but I just wanted to show you this. So this is what we call a factory knot, which means that they ran out of yarn at the factory and they had to tie some more yarn to the skein that we have now. So I personally don't really trust these because sometimes it's not so secure. Now it's pretty sturdy, but this is a perfect opportunity to show you how to do an invisible knot. So you can do this when you run into a factory knot or when you run out of your skein. This is how you reattach another ball of yarn. So first we're gonna cut out this one. You should still have some yarn. I'm just gonna remove my hook. You should still have some yarn left, and you're gonna place the new yarn underneath like this. If you don't have enough yarn, usually you can just frog it, which means you pull this. Usually you just pull the yarn and you undo your work, which is a bit risky with plush yarn. You shouldn't, or you can't really unfrog it, because then these tiny yarn pieces might come off. So I don't really recommend doing it. Okay, so you have your two pieces and we can start with whatever you prefer. I'm gonna start with the bottom one. So maybe from halfway there. You pull this over, pull this under the other yarn, and then you pull this over, and then you pull this under the same yarn that you're working with. This is how I remember it, so you might need another method to remember it. I usually just say it out loud, that over, under the other yarn, and then you have the same yarn, over and under the same yarn that you're working with. And now you have two knots. And now if you pull not the ends but the other yarns tightly, then you should close the knot. And I prefer these knots because they are a lot sturdier and it's very hard to break it. And now we can cut the remaining pieces off. I actually never cut them too short because I'm still scared that the knot is gonna break. And while working with these type of texture, a bit of a yarn doesn't really show anyway. And I usually just try to hide it at the back of my project anyway. Okay, so let's continue. So I might do a few more rounds. I'm back. I finished my first panel. I ended up making 12 rows. So I went for a tiny handbag. So this is why my panel is super small. And now I'm gonna show you how to fasten off your project. So you finish your last half double crochet in your last stitch. And now we're just gonna chain one and cut the yarn. Leave a bit of a tail so we can weave in the ends easier. And now just pull through the yarn and tighten it. And we're done. Now you can go ahead and make another one of this and we will meet back here. Now I have my two panels. One is the front, one is the back. Now you just have to decide which one is gonna be the outside and which one is gonna be the inside of your project, of each panel. This is important to decide because we have to weave in the ends now. And whichever side you're gonna weave in the ends, it's gonna be the inside of your project. So I don't know if you remember, I had this little bump here. So this is gonna be the inside of my project for this panel. And then just to mirror it, because I ended this project on the left side, I'm just gonna turn the other panel to the other side. So this is gonna be the outside of my other panel. So if I put these two together, we can see the outsides and then the insides. So now that we decided which ones are the insides of our project, we can start weaving in the ends. For this, we're gonna need our darning needle. So for a project where you use normal yarn or not plush yarn, usually you go a few stitches one side and then come back again and do this a few times, so you would really secure it. With plush yarn, I find you don't need that much security because plush yarn doesn't get unraveled that easily. We're gonna insert our needle into a few of these stitches. Make sure you don't go to the other side, so it only stays on the inside of your project. And then pull through. And as I said, plush project doesn't get unraveled that easily. So if you go a bit more further, you can also leave it like that. But if you prefer more security, we're gonna go back a few stitches. We're gonna go over the last stitch where we came out of, and then we can go back here a few stitches. And you can repeat this a few more times if you want, but otherwise you can just cut your yarn off. And now you can repeat the same exact process with the other tail ends that you need to weave in. So next we are going to work on the strap that connects the panels and gives the bag its shape. This strap will wrap around the sides and the bottom, creating both structure and the extra space for your bag. So the wider your strap is gonna be, the more the space is gonna be between the panels, which means the more space you're going to have inside the bag. So if your strap is really narrow, you won't have much space, but if you have a wider strap, then you can create a more spacious bag. Don't forget that while working on the strap, you have to add the measurements of both the two sides and the bottom to the strap that you wanna have over your shoulder, because we are going to attach the strap all around our project. In case you are using a hook size that your yarn recommended for you, you might want to change to a smaller one so you can make your tension tighter, because the straps of the bag are prone to stretch over time, especially if you put some harder things in it. If your bag is as small as mine, you might not overload it with heavy things, but if you made a bigger bag, then you might carry around heavier things and you might use it on a day-to-day basis. So I recommend you change to a smaller hook size so your straps won't stretch in the near future. So let's do our slip knot. And now you have two options. If you want to continue with the same pattern, so half double crochets, you can, but I just want to tell you that half double crochets can stretch more. I personally prefer to use single crochets for straps because those are a lot sturdier, but this is all personal preference. I will be making a strap from single crochets, so you can see how single crochet is done. But if you want to work with half double crochets, because you know that you're not gonna use your bag as often, or you're gonna put only lightweight things inside, then you can do a half double crochet strap for it. So to make the strap, chain the width that you want. For this bag, I'm going for a narrower strap, so I'm gonna chain 5. Okay, I think this is gonna be okay. I've chained 5, but my strap is gonna be 4 stitches wide because we're gonna have to skip the first chain, as you know. So however wide you want your strap to be, don't forget to add 1 chain. To make a single crochet, you don't have to yarn over. You directly go into the second stitch, always the second, and then you yarn over, pull up a loop. You have 2 loops on your hook, and then you pull through both of the loops. And this is a single crochet. So insert your hook in the next stitch, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2 loops. We have 2 more to go, so insert your hook, pull up a loop, and pull through both. And last one, insert your hook, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2. Okay, and this was our first row of single crochets. Here again, you can always mark the first and last stitches if you want. And chain 1 and turn. I'm gonna do one more row with you. Okay, so we're gonna keep repeating this until we get the desired length. So just keep going. So my strap is actually 116 or 117 centimeters almost. So once you've reached the desired length, you can fold your strap like this, and then We are gonna slip stitch the ends together. So grab your yarn. The end of the strap that has the working yarn is gonna be facing you. So we're gonna slip stitch these two ends together. So we're gonna insert our hook in the first stitch as we did before, and then insert our hook in the foundation chain, in the first chain, and we're gonna pull the yarn, and we're not gonna yarn over anything. This yarn that we just pulled over, we're gonna pull over once more, and this is a slip stitch. So insert yarn in the second stitch and chain, yarn over, pull through, and then pull through on the loop on your hook, and do it a third time. Yarn over, pull through the loop on your hook, and last time yarn over. Be sure you are grabbing both sides or both loops of the same stitch, and then last chain, yarn over, pull through, and now we're just gonna chain one, cut the yarn, and fasten off. So this part is gonna be inside, this is the wrong part, and this is how it looks from the outside. This is gonna be the right part, this is gonna be facing outwards. We can weave in the ends now so it wouldn't be a problem later. I actually prefer how our edge turned out this way, but if you prefer a cleaner or straighter border, you can always just add another row of single crochets or slip stitches or whatever you prefer to the side, working on both sides, so you have a cleaner, nicer look. Once the strap is ready, it's time to attach it to the panels. So place your panel with the right sides facing each other. So as you can see, this is my wrong side because I can see the ends here, and this is my other wrong side. So I need to put it like this. Right sides are inside facing each other. So we're gonna work along the edges, and then we're gonna turn the whole project inside out. So we're gonna attach the strap to one panel first, we're gonna chain around, and then we're gonna put the other panel above, and we're gonna repeat the same process. So we're gonna need some more yarn. And then we're gonna work in slip stitches. So first we're gonna insert our hook close to the corner. We don't really have stitches here, so we're just gonna use the spaces that we have here. And then we're also just gonna insert our hook in one of the spaces on the side of the strap, like this. So this is how the project is gonna look like. Now we can grab our working yarn and pull through both of these spaces. Now chain one, and this is how the strap got attached to the panel. For some extra security, you can tie the end of the tail to the working yarn, but I think it should be enough. So let's find the next space on the panel and the next space on the strap. And now we're just gonna work slip stitches on the side of our project. So yarn over, pull up a loop, and the same loop you need to pull through on the loop on your hook. I don't know if that made any sense. So let's try again. Next space that you find, and the next space you find, yarn over, pull through, and pull through. You don't need to yarn over again. So next space that you can find, we just use this one. This is the next one, and then this is the next one, and pull through. And this is how we're gonna work all around. After you yarn over and pull through, you don't need to yarn over again, you can simply pull through again. Okay, since you are working with plush yarn, the spaces are gonna be pretty difficult to find, but you can take your time and you can just see, and you can always just put your finger inside your work to help you see and help you find the spaces. And this is all you're gonna have to do until you reach the other side of the panel. So we're just gonna keep working around and see you a bit later. And when you reach the end of the panel, add the last stitch, make your last slip stitch, and then chain one. Whoopa. And you can fasten off, cut your yarn and pull out the loop. And this is what our bag looks like now. So we are gonna turn our work inside out. So this is gonna be the inside of our project, and this is how the edges are gonna look from the outside. You can see it has a bit of a crack, I'd say. So this is gonna be the border. Okay, we only have one last step, which is to weave in and hide these tails. So I'm gonna turn my project inside out again, so it's easier to weave in the tails. And let's finish this. Now our bag is done. A really final step, in case you wanna put something here so you can close your bag so it wouldn't open all the time. There are plenty of tutorials on YouTube on how to insert a button or a magnetic button or anything else. I do have these tiny magnets. They are not buttons, only simple magnets, and I might glue them on the inside of my bag somewhere here, so it's gonna be easier for me to close it. And I'll come back. Okay, so I actually just glued the magnets on the side of the bag, and this is what it looks like now. There you have it, a bag you made. You can customize it with charms to make it even cuter. I'll be uploading a tutorial soon for Valentine's inspired bag charms, so subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss it. In the meantime, check out my video on amigurumi basics. It will help you with the charms. Don't forget to tag me if you post your bag, I'd love to see it. Thanks for watching, bye!